Todd Anderson.
I'm Brad Nelson.
And we're back for more Versus Live with the Gol Gauntlet.
The Gol Gauntlet.
Gol Gauntlet or Golgari Gauntlet?
I mean, I
Gol
like
Gauntlet.
Gol
I like
Gauntlet.
Golgari Gauntlet.
TM.
Yeah.
Trademark. Anyway, so the second round of the Gol Gauntlet will feature Wild Growth Walker, Creatures with Explore, and Gruesome Menagerie to really burst a bunch of life gain, card advantage, as well as just like graveyard synergies, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the kind of version that I've had the most success against red decks, but if your Golgari deck is built with deadweights, cheap removal, Deathcourt Scavengers, or Wild Growth Rockers, card advantage. I mean, there's even some versions of this deck I've seen play, I don't remember the name of it. It's the common from Guilds of Ravnica that when it comes to play, you gain a life for each creature in your graveyard. That in the sideboard, it's a 5-drop.
The Overgrowth one?
I've even seen a couple copies of that in certain lists, but this is the kind of deck that I want to fight red decks and certain strategies in the metagame. I do feel like this is one of the weaker versions in Golgari Mirrors. At least that's my testing so far, especially with versions that want to play Ritual of Soot. You just have your big finish of Gruesome
Said it right this
Menagerie.
time.
Thank you, Ross. Why do we have him here?
It's about like adding commentary to our plays, or basically so we don't have to have a big monitor that just has a scrolling Twitch chat
I haven't done his job yet, but I think I want to just...
to show him how bad he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So one thing I do want to say, your version that you're playing today, you're not playing Stitcher Supplier, right?
I'm playing your deck list, sir.
Okay. So we talked about this last video a little bit. I didn't want to bring it up, but I've been playing with the Gruesome Menagerie list a little bit on my stream. And before last weekend's tournaments, I actually just posted the 75 that I would have played. There was like 3 copies of Fine Finality, 1 Molder Hulk, 1 Golgari Finebroker, 1 Ravenous Chupacabra, 1 Plague Mare, like a bunch of like creatures that you don't really want to draw in multiples, and also you're fine exploring them to the graveyard early, and then later on use Fine Finality to get them back, And I thought that was like a really sweet idea, and with things like Memorial to Folly, you get to create chains with Molder Hulk or Golgari Finebroker that are just really hard for like control decks to bust through, just like natural card
they can
advantage.
counter them when they happen. But I do think that just having the ability to create a threat for free on certain anemic turns is just powerful. Just like I have nothing to do, but I have one of those in my graveyard, so I'm just going to Memorial it back and say go. And sometimes that's enough. That's a justifiable turn in the mid game or late game. The advantage I see for this deck is not just in game 1, but in certain matchups after sideboard. One of my favorite cards from the new set is Krull Harpooner.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And against decks like Boros Angels or decks that have a lot of flyers, just having reusable, and it's reusable with Gruesome Menagerie.
Yes, it's reusable with Gruesome Menagerie. You can get back off of Finebroker or Memorial to Folly, and the fact that like sometimes it just comes in and like shoots. I've had it shoot a 1/4 Crackling Drake before against me, and I just was very, very sad.
Oh yeah, and I've even liked it in my Galta variants because you can just, like in matchups where they're killing your creatures and you have some board presence, you can just play it. It goes up to 7. You play Galt off of 2 mana, even though you don't really have a board position. The last thing I will say though is every time that I look at the Surveil Sprite, like I just don't want to first pick it because I just feel like every draft Nightveil Sprite is just going to get harpooned on turn 2, and I've done that before in sealed, and it's the most disgusting feeling I've ever had.
Yeah.
Turn 2 Necrotal with 3 power and limited.
Yeah, it's not great.
But
all right,
let's get to the games.
Yeah, sure.
All right, I lost game 1 or the first match, so Golgari gets to be on the play because Golgari's got to win at least 1 match today.
Disagree.
Disagree?
All right. Well, my hand is a 1-lander, so I might fail, but I think I'm gonna keep it because I can do some stuff.
Yeah, my hand is all right. I'm gonna keep.
All right, let's go.
Elf. One thing I do like about these red decks is they have 8 ways to deal with turn 1 Llanowar Elf.
Yeah.
And so you can't really even build your deck to go really big. Branchwalker, a Plague Crafter. I'm going to keep this.
Yeah, I like Playcrafter a lot in this matchup. Did not draw a land. That's unfortunate. I'm going to shock your thing. Your turn. These stars from the mono red deck where you're on the draw, you miss your second land drop, they're just super gross.
Well, the issue here is I can play I can play this to make you discard, but you're...
No, don't. Never do that.
I mean, I've done it. Go.
Go.
Oh, wait, I played the wrong land. I wanted to play the one that's forced.
Yeah.
Go. Discard. No.
Finally. All right, we're going to zap you for 2 damages.
All right, I'll take 2 damages.
All right, you're at 18. Not a great start for the mono red deck, but I think that just kind of happens sometimes.
Your turn.
All right, Lava Runner, shock your thing, and attack for 2, put you to 16.
I will be at 16, and I will play a Plate Crafter.
You gone.
Your turn.
You have 3 cards?
I have 2.
2? This is where we have to start being wary of Gruesome Menagerie, especially on cards like Playcrafter, because you can get 3 things back, but I think we just have to go for it. Attack,
Yep.
put you to 14.
Todd, called your hand basically unkeepable.
Who did? Who called it unkeepable?
Ayuno?
Take it.
AUYNHO.
Your turn.
Yeah, well,
do my
tell him
best.
to shut up.
He's really far ahead.
Yeah. All right, 1 to you.
All right, bring
You're
back
at 10.
Ravenous Chupacabra.
Yep.
It is nice that flooding you got these memorials.
Yes, he did.
Your turn.
All right, put you to 8. Your turn.
I've been
I'm
discussing with
gonna
chat
get
what
burned
the rest
out.
of the people's names become if they get swept in a video. So Brad becomes Brad Smelson.
Hey, that's just
I become
absurd.
Turd Ferguson.
No,
so
you
it's not
become
that-
Fraud Anderson.
Fraud Anderson. Nice.
All right, Playcrafter, trigger.
And then,
All right, I
then
will.
Jaeger just put in if
3
Brad
to you.
loses, he becomes Ross Miriam.
Put you to 5.
Oh, no!
Yeah, we
Go.
have to switch places for a day.
Do not...
Brad's at 5.
I'm at 5 lives now.
Steamkin, Firebrand trigger. Go.
Well, that's not the worst.
Wow, that's a yikes.
Well, let me double check. I just...
You have 3 creatures to get back. If that's
All right, I'm going to attack you.
yeah, no blocks. I'll
All
take 5. I'm at 13. Oh wow, and you can gain a life?
Azoni the 12-eyed. We call this
Okay,
the Baker's Dozen.
I need
A Baker's Dozen has 13 in it, Todd. Brad.
Oh wow, hey Brad, zap all your stuff.
No!
So he gets to gain 1 life. You go to 6.
And I negate that.
Yeah, then all your tokens die. Alright, doesn't play.
Yeah, you still get to keep that.
So if I think
You kill the Azoni
do I kill these only? It's only got 1 on it.
with the Firebrand, right?
it's a 2-3.
It's a 2/3,
It's a
bro.
2/3?
It's a 6-mana 2-3. Don't get 2 out of
Busted. Too good. Banned.
3.
Get it out of here.
I'm gonna
Can't believe that card's a
3.
2/3.
Alright, you're at 3.
I don't like taking 3, but I think I have to. Every time you get aggressive, you just get punished.
Smiley JD says if Todd sweeps Brad, he'll become Paul Rietzel.
I don't even get it.
Because he swept you in the first turn.
Okay.
That was from Twitch chat. That wasn't Ross.
To be fair, Twitch chat, I've been swept in all 3 of my Pro Tour top 8s. Thank you. I'll gain a life.
Yeah, you're at 4.
Mm.
You have a thing that gets you
Go.
explore?
No. I was looking for it.
All right, and this only sacrifices creatures, right?
Yeah.
All right. Lightning strike you.
I feel like I'm in the hard lock.
All right, so you go to 5. Nice.
One
Then
turn
you,
too
Then you
late.
go to 2.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I was at 4?
Yeah, you went up to 5.
Oh, I thought...
But I have this, so... All right, you can change... Okay, you're at 4.
No,
I'm
that's
casting,
fine, 'cause I
I'm
want to
casting
block.
lightning strike targeting you.
That's fine. I'll go to 1.
Okay.
Because you still have to sack it before I sack. So you miss out on... Like, I still get the block and I can sack 2 things, right? That's how that works.
All right. 1 to you. Make you sack before blocks.
It doesn't matter. I can't keep anything alive through any of this, so I'll sack that.
Okay.
And then I already drew.
Yeah, so you're at 1.
Yeah.
And then I'll attack both these.
Block and sack. And go to 2.
All right. First strike that. You're at 2.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to play this.
Okay.
Your turn.
Mm.
All right, so you get back Playcrafter.
I'm going to get back Plague Crafter,
Wild Growth.
Elf, and Wild Growth.
Okay.
And I'll sack Elf.
Okay, I will sack. I guess Chainmower is actually a fine attacker here, whereas Steamkin doesn't. It's not really going to do that much next turn, I don't think.
Haha.
Nice. So
I'll
you go-
gain 3,
Yeah.
and I'll explore for a Jade Light Ranger, and I'll keep that.
It's all coming down. So you're at 4.
And this is a counter, and your turn.
All right, so draw chapter 2, draw 2.
It's not game over.
I know. It's very close, though.
All right, my turn.
Go.
All right, Jade Light is going to trigger twice.
Yeah, you go to 10.
And I'll keep that.
That's just how it goes.
And I'll keep that twice, and I'll go to 10, and I still don't think I can attack. Go.
Okay. All right. Draw chapter 3. Go.
That's always
So
the.
stupid.
All right, I'll play Jade Light.
It's okay, Todd.
Trigger
Conclusions are always the
twice.
hardest thing to write.
I'll just show you, and I gain some more life.
You go to 16.
And I'll say go again.
How's that wild growth go?
Wild Growth Walker's stupid. I don't like it.
I'll find this and Plague Crafter and cast Plague Crafter and sacrifice it.
Okay.
You have to sack.
He did.
All right. And attack.
All right. Take it. Is that lethal?
Play a Zoni. I don't know. I'm not keeping life totals.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead.
Todd, too much Landerson.
All right.
Yeah.
Any questions before we go to sideboarding? That
You-
was a turnaround, though. I mean, sometimes you have a bad, like when you're like stuck on lands for a long time, you might just hit a bunch of your lands.
Oh, I
off
know.
because- yeah.
I had a feeling it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because I got you to 1. I might have been able to like attack with the Runaway Steamkin and the Chain Whirler, force you into weird blocks, and then once you sacrifice, I maybe pop the Lightning Strike and the Fanatical Firebrand, and you might just be dead if you do it incorrectly. But I don't know if that's actually true.
Well, any questions before we go to sideboarding?
Okay. Future IDK asks if you have tried a more aggressive bent of the Golgari list, maybe something with Charnel Troll or Undergrowth Lich.
Well, Ross, I think you can actually answer the Charnel Troll one. You started off with a Charnel Troll deck, like one of the first videos we did on Versus Live, right?
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing now.
No, you're the only one out of all of us is cast Charnel Troll.
Oh, I just assumed you were trying to get a beat in because that deck did not go well.
No,
Well-
but I think that's the point. I don't think Charnel Troll works in a graveyard-related deck because it is a counter to all of your other graveyard synergy.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the case. I think the issue that I have with cards like Charnel Troll or Doom Whisper and Golgari is based around the graveyard synergies, and it's really difficult to organically do them without playing, bad enablers like Stitcher Supplier. Now, there are good enablers in Magic's history, just not in Standard. And so I feel like you have to go where the bulk of your cards are, and Golgari feels like more efficiently grinding, getting to the longer game, finding that Azoni later in the game and using the graveyard synergies there instead of Charnel Troll trying to eat them all up. So maybe in a different world, if there were better 2-drops and 4-drops that were more aggressive, that generated values, then we might be seeing
Cards
that.
like Mind Rack Demon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But because to fill your graveyard, you have to have 1 toughness, which is bad against Chain Whirler to begin with. Also, Charnel Troll can't protect itself, so cards like Ravenous Chupacabra and Lava Coil immediately eat it. So for me, the card just doesn't do what I want Golgari to do because of the cards that exist in Golgari.
Yeah. So what do you think a more aggressively oriented Golgari deck is going to look like?
Well, it's not going to really exist until a new set comes out, and it'll show itself if the cards exist.
Okay.
But,
and
like,
you just don't think they exist right now.
I do not think they exist. It's all about the value. That's where I feel like the strategy is at right now.
Yeah, that's where the powerful cards are.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go to sideboarding, and then we'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll take 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. For more Versus Live, here for Sideboard for Game 2 between Mono Red and Gruesome Menagerie Golgari. From my side, we are going to be making some significant changes to help us win games that go longer.
That's a lot of cards.
It is a lot of cards. Cards like Fanatical Firebrand, Shock, these are pretty good in Game 1 because, you know, they do one thing. They go to the dome. And sometimes when you're just trying to amass these little points of damage, cards like Shock and Firebrand are exactly enough to get the job done at the end of the game. We were just slightly short. I believe someone in chat pointed out that I may have missed 1 damage from a Goblin Chain Whirler. It is awkward. But sometimes, you know, things happen, you miss damage. That happens a lot in real life, not on Magic Online.
Nope.
I'll say that. So the way we're going to be changing our deck, Risk Factor doesn't really work well with Experimental Frenzy, and there is a chance that Brad just gains so much life with Wild Growth Walker that Risk Factor becomes a dead card.
Well, it's not that I'll gain, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy of if you don't have removal spells for a 4 toughness creature, it's going to invalidate cards like that. Like, you have to deal with those first and hope to overpower me, then try to race me.
Yeah, and we're going to be trying to do that with things like Fight with Fire and Lava Coil just to kill some of the larger creatures. Plus, if the game goes super long and we flood out, cards with like Fight with Fire have the alternate mode of dealing 10 or sweeping his side of the battlefield.
The alternate mode of winning the game immediately.
Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, I've had Risk Factor just not be... So I've played a lot from the Wild Growth Walker side of things, and if you have your engine revving with the Wild Growth Walker, Risk Factor just always is 4 to the head. That's fine. I don't want you to draw more cards, because if you draw more cards, you start hitting things like Frenzy or Rekindling Phoenix, and those actually can help you close out the game, whereas like 4, sometimes 8 to the dome is not enough if you've gotten 1 or 2 Explorers with a Wild Growth Walker on the battlefield. So we're just going to be becoming a little bit slower of a deck with cards with a bit more impact.
Yeah, I'm actually going to keep in some Plague Crafters because it's just nice to be able to get a creature off the board. But I don't want all of them.
Sure.
And I feel like Threshing Bronton seems good, right?
I like Threshing Bronton. I actually like Duress in this matchup too, and I think that's something, if you're just trying to overall lower the curve of your deck, that's fine. I found myself on occasion actually trimming things like Azoni as well as 1 Gruesome Menagerie in order to make room, and I pretty regularly cut Llanowar Elf as well.
That makes sense to cut Llanowar Elves. I don't know if Duress is the card that I want, though. Because my issue with Duress is that sometimes, like, if you have one of... It sometimes stops enchantments, but not off the top of your deck. And when you hit those enchantments, I don't know what it's really going to be doing for me. And the cards that are scariest when Flame of Kel comes off are like Chain Whirlers. And you can still cast the spells, but I'm going to just keep in all of my plagues and cut these. Cut 2.
Sure.
And I'll cut another for a Fine Broker. I'll keep 1 elf.
One thing I noticed when I was playing as red is I just wanted more things to cast in the first few turns. Like, you just want to trade off here and there, because if the game goes past turn 6, you're usually pretty heavily favored. Now, in a post-sideboard game, that's not always true because of cards like Experimental Frenzy. But Duress being able to take away a Lightning Strike, a Wizard's Lightning, or even a Lava Coil so that you can actually protect your Wild Growth Walker is actually pretty sweet as well.
Fine, you sold me. You sold me. What about this card? Is this card any good?
It's great. Because I'm gonna try to kill all your stuff early. Like, I'm gonna try to kill Wild Growth Walker, and I usually have to kill something else to clear, so that I can actually attack. And then once I do that, you go find, bring back Wild Growth and a thing.
I don't have to keep all of them, though,
Growth.
right?
No.
Because Gruesome Menageries and that are kind of redundant.
Right. I think Find Finality might be better than Menagerie, just because you can kind of still go off on like 4 mana. Sometimes, and since you're cutting Elf, you just want to lower the overall curve.
No, that one just gives you so much life right away. It's great. Just Wild Growth Walker.
Yeah, card's awesome.
Oh, but I guess with taking all the elves out, I can only get 2 back anyway.
Right, which is why I cut a Menagerie.
Yeah, all right.
Big Brain Todd over there.
Who's the Golgari Master now?
This is the variant that I have the least experience with.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, this is not a U style of deck either. Like, Brad is way more about casting things like the Eldritch Reborn, and like you want games to go like super long. Whereas a card like Gruesome Menagerie against a mono red deck, like, it's gonna close the door like that.
Also, for like Crackling Drake for you, I think my version of that, like the card that I'm super biased towards, is Deathcourt Scavenger. I've put that card in so many decks.
Yeah.
Seth Manfield won a Pro Tour with 3 in a sideboard because I loved it so much.
You saying that's why they were in a sideboard, or that's why he won?
Both.
Can it be
he
both?
played.
Yeah.
He played Gift in the finals.
Yeah, that helps.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bye, Angel. All right, we got any questions while Brad's shuffling?
Yeah, MTG Akuma asks Brad thoughts on Poison Tip Archer in the Golgari sideboard against the token strategies.
Poison Tip Archer.
That's the 2 black-green, 2/3 Death Touch Reach. Whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses a life. So all your sweepers just deal them 1,000,000 damage.
For what
and you get to
matchup?
close the game out.
For
Tokens.
the tokens.
That could be good, but I would rather just.
It's like a
interact with them
reverse
more.
blood artist, kind of.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather interact
It
with
costs,
them.
it costs 4 BG2? That's pretty expensive.
It can also hold off a Shalai.
I'm gonna keep, but I don't know how good this is.
Yep, my hand is a little wonky, but we got Runaway Steamkin. You do take a Lava Coil, and
Alright.
that's what I want you to do. I want you to play a Wild Growth Walker on 2 after you taking my removal
Well,
spell.
I can't play that. Go.
Sure. Well, that's not my fault, is it? All right, I'm just gonna get some pressure on. Trigger, hit you for 3 total.
Yep.
17.
I will play Playcrafter.
I think we just want Steamkin for explosiveness.
Yep. 14.
All right, pump Steamkin. Hit you for 3. 14 to 20.
Chupacabra.
Yep, but we still have
Phoenix is
Wow.
so good
So
against
Phoenix.
these decks.
yeah, especially because they're not playing that many.
Ways to deal with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, contempt value went a lot
Yeah, this
way
deck
down.
Can't even deal with it.
attack for 6 puts you to 8.
I'm at 8.
Brad, you're not doing a whole lot.
No, I'm very dead.
Dropping your cards everywhere.
I'm actually just dead.
Mm,
I'm
draw a Wild Growth. Oh, you don't have second, third green.
actually just dead.
You are just dead.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually just dead. Yeah.
Fast game.
That was a
yeah.
fast game.
Dude,
No
Mono
answer
Red's so
there.
great. You can play leagues so fast with this deck.
Yeah, no answer there for the Phoenix. For people in chat, it's just going to attack twice, and Brad had no shot of stopping it.
No, Phoenix, like a turn 4 Phoenix on the play is very difficult for a lot of decks to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for decks built like this. That's why I love Deathgorge Scavenger, because like on turn 5 I can pair it with a 2-mana removal to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Awkwardly enough, Phoenix is at its worst against the control decks because they tend to have a lot more exile-based removal spells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and counter spells are
Yeah,
one of its
and
banes.
counters.
Just Syncopate or Essence Scatter are both
Yep.
very good against
Well,
it.
also it used to be bad against a Golgari-esque deck because every deck like that had to lean on Vraska's Contempt.
Right.
Yeah,
It was way
now they
worse, but
don't.
now that's just not the case anymore. Like, they don't want it because Chupacabra is a creature and there's so many values elsewhere. So, like, I think that red decks moving forward should just have 4 Phoenixes in main and figure out whatever the deck's supposed to look like based around 4 Phoenixes.
Yep.
Do you think
that's
like the
fair.
Boros Angels decks should move a little bit away from Aurelia to play Phoenix?
I don't know about that. I don't know how good those decks are. Those decks are, the way that they're built right now, they get slaughtered by most Golgari decks.
Yeah.
The Chupacabra Golgari decks. I don't know about this version.
Yeah, I think the
But-
Boros Angels decks as they exist are really good against red and pretty good against Celestia because those decks are weak to big lifelink flyers, but
Well, I feel like this is just the exact kind of hand you're going to want on the play. I mean, Wild Growth Walker would be great, but just
classic Lucky Brad.
a lot of explore, filling your graveyard up, playing a Gruesome Menagerie feels like the way you want to play this deck.
Yep. So one of the reasons why I moved away from Stitcher Supplier in the deck is because I found myself just from playing Magic, either exploring creatures to the graveyard was like pretty common, or just your creatures dying to removal spells or attacking and blocking was just so common that you didn't need an actual graveyard enabler.
Yeah.
We're gonna play a Steamkin, hope that it survives.
It's most likely going to survive.
Nice. Play Crafter here would be pretty bad for me.
I would like a Plague Crafter.
Yep.
Keep. And I think I don't know how aggressive I get.
I mean, with
Attack.
I don't know if I'm supposed to attack.
Attack. Do it. You won't do it.
Go.
Got him.
All right. Trigger till
Yeah.
2 to you, pass turn.
Ooh, nice. I should have attacked.
That is.
Yes.
See?
Well,
I'm
if
just
you
trying
had
to help you out,
attacks,
Brad.
I think you would be in a much worse position. So.
There's a possibility.
So
of
I've
that.
learned over the years to tell Brad the thing I want him to do because then he definitely won't do it.
Yeah, 16.
Go. Yeah.
16 all. Go. One thing I want to note about this version of the Explore deck, the reason why it plays 4 Seeker Squire, not only do you just need a large amount of Explore, but it also is guaranteed to have 2 Toughness, which is important against Chain Whirler. A lot of times these will hit land early on, and then they just get swept up by Chain Whirler.
Attack. Yeah.
Not sure if this is correct, but we're about to get our Steamkin eaten. We're just trying to take as little damage as we can. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Pyromancer, deal 2 to you. You're at 14. Make 3 mana.
Yeah.
Let's go Wizard's Lightning, this one,
Yeah. Get a counter.
and Lightning Strike, this one, and then attack for 3.
And what am I at?
You're at 14.
And how many cards in your hand?
I have 4 cards left still.
All right, I'll take it.
All right, you're at 11. Your turn.
Yep.
He did. Chupacabra, quite good against Runaway Steamkin.
Choopaloop.
Go.
That's what it does.
I will attack.
Block.
Yeah.
Block.
Okay. I will pass turn.
You're so cool with your blocking.
Yeah, I'll take 1. I'm at 15.
All right, I'll Gruesome Menagerie, back Jade Light, and I think I should get Seeker Squire. Well, I guess no. I'm going to get Jade Light and Merfolk Branchwalker, and I'm going to stack them to try to get this one to make this a 3/2.
Yeah, I like that.
So, all right, we're going to do this one, resolve this one first.
Right,
We'll get a land first and a
Yeah.
Branchwalker.
And then this one will
I
trigger.
guess I'll keep the Branchwalker, yeah. That's fine.
Well,
Todd.
you can still get rid of it the second time if you want to, but you just want to make sure it gets a counter so you don't get Chain
Yeah.
Warlord.
Todd,
Yes.
remember in game 1 when you drew a lot of lands?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
You
going
should
to
try that again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get rid of it, and then I'm going to find Finality, back a Jade Light and a Chupacabra.
Sure thing.
And your turn.
Well, I can't cast a single spell except for the Flame of Keld. Discarding.
That
these.
sometimes I that's the thing. I don't know. I'm still unsure if you're supposed to have all the removal with all the Flame of Kelds.
I want to play a third game, but let's.
That was the third game, right?
No, there was only 2 games, right?
No.
No.
No, you
Oh, it was
you
3.
You won game
Oh,
2 very
right,
quickly.
right. I had there was the
You
super
crushed
fast
me
Phoenix
game
game.
2, yeah.
That was super fast Phoenix. game. I
Yeah,
forgot
no.
about that one, I'm sorry.
We highlighted the things. We just never saw Wild Growth Walker get out of hand initially.
No, and so one of the important things for this mono red deck is boarding Lava Coal in this matchup, specifically to make sure that you can get Wild Growth Walker off the battlefield
Yes.
and then permanently due to the exile, because there's so many ways to get it back, from Gruesome Menagerie to Find Finality, even Memorial to Folly or Golgari Finebroker. Like, eventually you're going to try to stabilize around like 6 life or maybe a little less, and hopefully just right out of burn range, and then you're going to go Wild Growth Walker plus a 2 or 3 minute Explore card in the same turn, and if I don't have a 3 damage spell to kill it immediately, you're just going to take over the game.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this, and I don't know if it's going to end up correct eventually for these red decks, but I played a ton with red for almost over a whole week. During SCG Columbus, I spent the entire weekend working on different red decks. And the thing that I've realized is, obviously there's 2 different variations, one that wants to play Flame of Keld and one that doesn't. And the version that play Flame of Keld, I've realized that I like 21 lands in the main with 2 in the sideboard with all 4 Phoenixes. And I don't like all the Fight with Fires or Diamond Mares or whatever. I play like 2 Fight with Fires in matchups that I know have Planeslayer Angel or Lyra Dawnbringer.
Yes.
There you
And
go.
yeah, but I think that I like those versions more than the other versions that also still play all the wizard variations. But I think that there's probably just a version of the deck that wants to be a little bit bigger. But those decks do get overrun by certain matchups. But I do think that Rekindling Phoenix is the most powerful card that Red has access to in this current format, but it doesn't have anything that also goes along with it besides cards like Siege Gang Commander, but that's only good really in the mirrors. It's tough to know what else to do. That's why I built like the Dragon versions, the Sarkhan versions.
Yeah, I actually really liked your Dragon version. I thought Sarkhan was particularly sweet. Even against control decks, just like filtering out some of your random bad removal spells was nice. But just like letting you double spell in a lot of turns where your opponent has counterspell magic up, I thought was a pretty big deal.
Well, control decks are your worst matchups, but I also saw like in the Magic Online PTQ, Sarkhan Red was the best performing red deck in that PTQ, which I thought was really cool. Like a few players ran with the deck. They added the other rare dragon to it, the 6-mana one, and it top 8 at the PTQ. When I saw that, I was like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's sweet. I mean, it's obviously 6 mana is a lot, but the fact that you just start chaining dragons and
no, the dragons are
make
powerful.
More dragons.
Maybe that is the way that red decks want to be built right now, because I'm not in the super like let's go aggressive red, like when the Wizards Lightnings work and the Flame of Kelds and the deck's going off and functioning, the deck is broken.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I just any matchup where risk factor actually ends up starting to be a draw 3, I think are the matchups where the deck starts to shine. I love this deck against control, and if control ends up being a huge part of the metagame,
so
cards like risk factor are just so brutal against them because they can't afford to take more than the first hit to the face, the 4 damage to the face. The second hit is almost always it's going to be lethal, or it threatens lethal for any burn spell left in your deck.
Yeah, I think that there is a version of red that can be built to be even-ish against Golgari, unless the Golgari deck is super focused on the matchup, good against control, and also prioritizes the mirror with sacrificing the Selesnya tokens and the Boros Angels matchups. Those are the 2 already tough matchups for mono red Aggro already. But the other 3 matchups are doable. So it depends on how the metagame goes, because if Golgari gets really big, that kind of pushes control out of the metagame a little bit, along with Boros Angels. So maybe it doesn't push control all the way out. But the format, we don't know what's happening. It's so all over the place right now.
It's so complex. I love it.
It is. It's
There's
great.
so many cool decks. There's so many cool interactions. I've played, I still have like 10 decks on my like bucket list that I want to try out.
We're playing 3 completely wildly different versions of Golgari because we don't even understand one guild.
Yeah, you haven't even cast Eldritch Reborn yet.
Yeah.
Well, and Eldritch Reborn is nuts.
Next match.
Next match. Yeah.
But any questions you got, Ross, before we
get
break?
to the next match, we got a few questions about the Gruesome Menagerie build, different cards you can possibly play. Duke Nukem wants to know about the potential of Pelt Collector as an additional 1-drop to bring back with it.
So if you are trying to be beat down in a specific matchup, I do think Pelt Collector can be good. However, with the Explore creatures, it's actually very hard to get it up to 3 power, except when one of your creatures that has already explored dies. Or you just bring back a Plaguecrafter off of it. And like, I don't think the beatdown plan is really where you want to be with the deck. I'm trying to use Gruesome Menagerie to like grind out opposing creature-based decks with things like Plaguecrafter, or just gain a bunch of life with things like Jadelight Ranger and Wildgrowth Walker. So personally, I don't love the idea of Pelt Collector. Obviously, you have to ask yourself, would you play Experiment 1 in this deck? Is this an Experiment 1 deck? Because people can compare Pelt Collector to Experiment 1, and you can see that, if I can get it up to big enough, to start actually applying pressure, maybe it's worthwhile, but at the same time, that shouldn't be your plan.
No, it's not going to grow big enough, and Pelt Collector is the card that gives consistency to Ghalta strategies, and it's not enough consistency because we're not seeing the deck do that well.
Sure.
There's just so many Chupacabras running around. There's Selesnya tokens is running Wrath effects. I think the Ghalta strategies are about on par with Red, which should be their best matchups. And so I tried to make them work. I did a lot of cool things to them. I was so ready for an article that had so many cool like mana base ideas and different splashes and all this stuff. And I just couldn't win with the strategy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to waste the first couple weeks of this format being like, look at all the bad things I did.
Okay, second card potentially adding to the Golgari Explore deck. Cyclonic Rift wants to know about the potential of Tomb Robber.
I don't know what Tomb Robber is. No, I do, but I'm going to make a joke. Cyclonic Rift gives me a good idea. River's Rebuke.
Oh yeah, River's Rebuke's tight.
No, Midnight, that's the 3/2 that draws cards.
Tomb Robber is 2 and a black, 1/1 menace. Pay 1, discard a card. Tomb Robber explores.
I mean,
It's
I
a
don't.
pirate.
Okay.
Oh, wow, I haven't thought about that card.
That actually seems kind of sweet with Wild Growth Walker, though.
And it
You
costs
go-
2 mana to discard?
1
No,
mana
1
and
mana,
discard a
discard.
card. Explore.
Oh, yeah, it's colorless, and you
Yeah,
explore.
colorless, discard a card. And it starts as a 1/1. It's as menace.
Okay, to be clear, I've seen versions that play the 4 mana enchantment that whenever a creature ETBs,
Path of Discovery.
you just get to explore, and I don't know if that's good, but it's awesome.
It's all awesome.
Especially
They-
with Izoni. or
So
Gruesome
the issue with
Menagerie.
cards like that and Path and Tomb Robber is one of the biggest issues with Golgari is when it falls behind. And it's really difficult to get back into games. Like we saw in the first video, like, a turn 3 or 4, make some tokens, play a Venerated Loxodon, Venerated Hierarch.
No, it's Venerated Luxon. You got it right the first time.
I overthink it.
Yeah. Believe
Venerated,
me, I would have
Well,
chimed
usually,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. So you play it, you convoke Noble Hierarch. It's all great. Yeah. I caught Todd not paying attention for a second. But like you fall really far behind. And so you're not going to want to untap, play that card and explore, or just play Path of Discovery does nothing the turn it comes into play on turn 4.
Yeah.
Does not have any interaction with the board. And it's marginal at that. Like the problem with Explore in Standard is if you don't have a source of true card advantage, like a Vraska Golgari Queen, you are not going to get an actual spell to cast that turn. So even if you have unlimited mana and unlimited creatures to play, if like they have a Rekindling Phoenix in the air for life, and if you don't have a Wild Growth Walker, you can't get to a card to deal with it. And that's the issue with Explore. It's the biggest issue with Explore. So giving all your creatures double or triple Explore really isn't going to do the things when you're up behind. So to me, it feels like a win more. That might be a good sideboard card for specific things that might eventually happen, but probably still just worse than the mythic planeswalkers that we have access to.
Yeah.
I mean, play Vivian Reed.
Classic
play,
no fun Brad. Play all the mythics. Win matches of Magic.
bring home trophies. Yeah. It's
Boring.
it's super boring.
All right, one more question, then we're going to take a quick break.
Okay, Rational Mixture wants to know what you think the best graveyard hate in Standard is. Just played a graveyard-based deck. Golgari decks are going to be pretty graveyard-heavy.
It depends if you want graveyard hate against Golgari, but to me, Deathgord Scavenger out of Golgari for Golgari Mirrors is powerful. I also just think that Deathgord Scavenger is the best anti-graveyard card because it's also has applications against control decks. Not only can it be pesky for cards like Search for Scanta or jump starts like Chemister's Insight, but it also is Threatening Clock. It's a 4-powered creature for 3 mana. And yes, it can get shocked. Yes, it can get killed. But for 3 mana, for 4 damage, that also interacts like in very meddling ways.
Right.
It's a very meddling card. Also against red decks, those first creatures are always dying anyway, but I get 2 life out of them. And then I play another one, and then I find Finality back 2 of them and get 2 more life out of each one.
Yeah, I mean, each 2-point life swing is just very important.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's so versatile in roughly 3 different against 3 different archetypes, I think makes it one of the stronger options. Like, I'm not a huge fan of like Silent Gravestone or any of the random like artifacts that are like specifically anti-graveyard, but they don't really, like I think Silent Gravestone stops Find Finality, right? The front half being able to target the things in your graveyard, but like, you're just gonna find something that deals with the Tombstone and then cast Find Finality, or just use the back half of it to sweep the board.
So the thing that I'll say is, not every Golgari deck is going to look the same. So it's similar to like last format. You remember when there was mono red hyper aggressive decks and there was black red vehicles?
Yes.
And you didn't always want the same cards for both matchups. Like some decks would play Infernal Reckoning to deal with Scroungers, but if you played against like Wizard Red, then that card only could kill Bowman Curse. So you needed other removal spells like Moment of Craving or Essence Extraction. Like these kind of things are going to happen with Golgari. This version, Graveyard Hate, perfect. But if you're like dealing with my graveyard out of the versions with Veraskas and things like that, I can just play a different game plan, and you've negated value by investing into a card. And I can ignore the value. Also, Find Finality still has another mode. Find Broker is still a 3/4.
Yep.
These things are going to add up. And also, I have eventually, once I've taken control, it's not going to actually stop it all game long because I have so many ways to deal with a Silent Gravestone. So you don't want graveyard interaction for these Golgari decks. What you're looking for is something else. And I'm currently not. I don't even understand what that is yet because we're so in flux. So we're going to have to, as a community, explore ways to fight Golgari as a theme, finding specific cards that are just great against them.
As opposed to just fighting them along the one graveyard axis.
Yes.
Which
Also
not all of them are really devoted to.
Exactly.
Quick note, hilariously enough, Silent Gravestone doesn't do anything against Gruesome Menagerie because
What?
Gruesome Menagerie doesn't target. It's just
No.
choose a 1-drop, choose a 2-drop, choose a 3-drop. So the only way it stops Gruesome Menagerie is spending 4 mana to exile the whole graveyard.
That
Do
is true.
Do you think Deadeye Tracker is specifically good if the Menagerie build picks up and you need to fight the
Oh,
mirror?
dude, if it's
Yeah.
a mirror based on Gruesome Menagerie, yeah, I think Deadeye Tracker is awesome. The fact that it can explore with Wildgrowth Walker 2, it might even just
and
belong in
one
the main
drop
deck.
for Menagerie.
Yeah.
Like,
It might just
Yeah,
it might just be a main deckable card.
Cards like that are good. I like Deathguard Scavenger because of the life gain, and you don't have to invest mana into it. And Golgari decks like build, but like maybe a blue-black deck or something might want a card like that.
Makes sense.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break while Brad and I prepare for the third match of the day where we will be playing Jeskai Control against the deck that actually ended up winning the Magic Online PTQ this past Saturday. Do you want to talk about that deck now or when we come back?
When we come back, we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we will talk about the matchup then and get going.
Also, for people who've been talking in chat a lot about Control, I've been holding off your questions. I got a lot on the list, and when Todd gets into it playing this Control deck in the third match, we're going to talk a lot about Control decks and Standards, so be sure to come back for that.
Cool deal. All right, well, for Brad Nelson, I'm Todd Anderson. This has been Versus Live. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.